The guard's whistle cut through the quiet like a knife. Hey! Stop there. A thin girl froze in the middle of the marble hallway, her bare feet pressed to a floor so shiny it looked like water. She held a small plate of jollof rice she had scooped in a rush, as if the smell alone could keep her alive. Her dress was old and dusty, and her hair was tied with a faded ribbon that had once been bright. She did not look like she belonged inside a billionaire's mansion. And yet, here she was. Behind her, tall glass windows showed the evening sky over Lagos, glowing orange, soft like a warm lamp. In front of her, a wide staircase rose like a mountain. The walls were decorated with paintings, framed awards, and expensive photographs of men shaking hands, smiling in suits. The guard stepped closer, his heavy boots making dull thuds on the floor. "Thief," he said, and reached for her arm. The girl's eyes filled up instantly. Not because she was caught. Because she was hungry. "Please," she whispered. "I only wanted food. I will go. I will go now." Then she turned, ready to run, when something on the wall made her stop so hard her breath disappeared. A photo. Not of a famous person. Not of a business event. Not of a rich party. It was a simple photo in a silver frame, hanging on the wall like it mattered more than all the others. In the photo, a little girl smiled with missing teeth. Her cheeks were round. Her eyes were bright. She wore a blue school uniform that was too big for her. The homeless girl's hands began to shake. The plate rattled. A few grains of rice fell like tiny stones. Because that little girl in the photo was her. Her childhood photo. Her own face stared back at her from the billionaire's wall. "No," she breathed, stepping closer, as if the photo might change if she blinked. "How is this here?" The guard frowned. "What are you looking at?" Before she could answer, a deep, calm voice floated down from the top of the staircase. "Leave her." The guard stopped. His shoulders tightened. "Sir." A man stepped into view. He wore a simple dark shirt, no loud gold chains, no heavy jewelry. But everything about him spoke money, not because he showed it, but because he did not need to. His eyes landed on the girl. Then on the spilled rice. Then on the wall. And his face changed. It was not anger. It was something else. Something that looked like surprise trying to hide inside seriousness. "Bring her here," he said quietly. The girl's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The guard's grip loosened. The girl remained frozen, staring at the photo, then at the man, then back at the photo again, her heart beating too loud in her ears. The billionaire took one step down. Then another. And he said her name as if he had carried it for years. "Oma." The girl's eyes widened. She had not heard that name from anyone in a long time. And just like that, the world seemed to tilt. What did he know? Why did he have her photo? Why did he say her name like it belonged to him too? Oma clutched the edge of the plate, her fingers tight. I don't know you," she said, but her voice was weak, like she did not fully believe herself. The billionaire's throat moved as he swallowed. "I think you do," he replied. And then he signaled toward the photo on the wall. "Look at it again," he said. "And tell me what you remember." Oma stared at the picture, her stomach twisting. A memory tried to rise in her mind, like a fish coming up from deep water. A small room. A woman singing. A boy laughing. A promise whispered in the dark. But before she could grab the memory, a loud ringtone burst out from the billionaire's pocket. He pulled out his phone, glanced at the screen, and his face tightened again. He answered, but his eyes never left Oma. "Yes," he said. "I'm looking at it right now." Oma's chest squeezed. "Looking at what?" "At her." The billionaire's voice lowered. "She's here." Oma's knees almost gave way. The phone call ended. The billionaire slipped the phone back into his pocket, slow and careful, like one wrong move could break something. Then he said, very softly, Omar, you should not have come here like this. Omar's throat burned. Tears slipped down her cheeks without asking for permission. I was hungry, she said. I didn't want to steal. I swear. I just needed food. The billionaire's eyes flickered. For a second, something painful flashed there, like regret. He reached out his hand. Come, he said. Let's talk. Omar did not move. Because she was not only scared of being punished. She was scared of what she might discover. The guard cleared his throat. Sir, should I call the police? She broke in. The billionaire turned sharply. No. The guard blinked. But sir. I said no, the billionaire repeated, with a quiet force that ended the argument. Omar looked between them, confused, trembling, still staring at the photo as if it might start speaking. The billionaire bent down, picked up the fallen grains of rice with his fingers, then paused and shook his head at himself like he could not believe what he was doing. Omar, he said again, do you still have the mark? Omar frowned. What mark? He lifted his own wrist and turned it, showing the inside. A small, faint scar in the shape of a tiny line. Omar's breathing stopped. She slowly raised her wrist too, turning it the same way. There, on her skin, was the exact same scar. A line, thin and pale, like an old secret. Omar's eyes filled again, but this time with something bigger than hunger. How, she whispered. The billionaire's voice became a murmur, almost like he was talking to himself. It's you, he said. After all these years. Omar stumbled back one step. Her mind began to race. If he knew her, then why had her life become like this? Why had she slept under shop canopies when rain fell? Why had she begged beside bus stops while people looked away? Why had she eaten leftovers from plastic bags when this man lived in a palace? The billionaire looked at her like he could hear all the questions in her head. Then he said a sentence that made Omar's stomach drop. You don't remember what happened the night your mother disappeared, do you? Omar's mouth opened. Her heart hit the ground. Because her mother's disappearance was the one memory she had always been afraid to touch. And now, this billionaire was standing in front of her, with her photo on his wall, saying her name like a prayer, asking about the night that broke her life. Omar shook her head slowly, her voice trembling. I remember, a scream, she whispered. And running. And darkness. The billionaire exhaled. The guard looked confused, but afraid to speak. The billionaire straightened up, eyes fixed on Omar, and said, then we have to start from the beginning. He glanced toward the hallway behind him, where a door stood slightly open, leading deeper into the mansion. There is someone inside that room, he said, who has been waiting to see you. Omar's whole body went cold. Waiting to see her. Who? Before she could ask, the door behind the billionaire creaked wider, slowly, like it was opening by itself. A shadow moved inside the room. And a woman's voice, soft and shaky, called out from the darkness. Omar, my child. Omar's plate slipped from her hands and clattered onto the floor. Her eyes locked on the doorway. Her breath caught in her throat. And she whispered, barely able to speak at all, Mama. Omar's legs refused to move. The word Mama hung in the air like it did not belong to the real world. For years, Omar had carried that word inside her like a stone, heavy and silent. She had whispered it into cold nights and busy streets. She had stopped believing it would ever answer back. Yet the voice came again, softer now. Omar, please. The billionaire stepped aside slowly, giving space, as if he understood that this moment was not his to lead. The guard looked away, suddenly uncomfortable, like he had walked into something too private to watch. From the room stepped a woman. She was thinner than Oma remembered. Her hair, once full and black, now held lines of silver. Her face carried tiredness, but her eyes were the same. Warm. Familiar. Deep with love and regret. Oma's knees shook. "Mama," she said again, louder this time, testing the sound like it might break. The woman nodded, tears already running down her cheeks. She took one step forward, then stopped, as if afraid Oma might disappear if she moved too fast. "It's me," she said. "It's really me." Oma ran. She did not think. She did not plan. Her body moved before her mind could catch up. She crossed the shining floor and crashed into the woman's arms. The woman wrapped her tight, holding her like someone afraid of losing something precious again. They cried together. Not loud cries. The kind that shake the chest and make breathing hard. "I looked for you," Oma sobbed. "Everywhere. I waited. I slept at the bus park. I asked people. They said you were gone." "I know," her mother said, stroking Oma's hair. "I know, my child. I am so sorry." The billionaire watched them quietly. His face was hard to read, but his hands were clenched at his sides. After a long moment, Oma pulled back just enough to look at her mother's face. "Where did you go?" she asked. "Why didn't you come back?" Her mother closed her eyes. Before she could answer, the billionaire spoke. "Oma," he said gently, "we should sit. This story is not short." They moved to the living room. It was large, but warm. Soft lights glowed. A long sofa waited like it had heard many secrets already. Oma sat between her mother and the billionaire, feeling small and big at the same time. The billionaire poured water into glasses and handed one to Oma. She drank slowly, her hands still shaking. "My name is Adewale Akinro," the billionaire said. "But when you were small, you called me Uncle Ode." Oma frowned. Uncle Ode. The name touched something deep inside her. "You used to bring bread," she said slowly. "And books." Adewale nodded. "You loved reading. Even when the light went out, you still tried." Oma turned to her mother, confused. "Mama, what is happening?" Her mother took a deep breath. "That night," she began, "was the night everything changed." She told the story carefully, like stepping on broken glass. Years ago, they had lived in a small apartment in Ibadan. Oma was 7. Life was not easy, but it was full of laughter. Adewale was younger then, not rich, not powerful. Just a man with big dreams and a kind heart. He and Oma's mother had grown up together. He helped them when he could. When Oma's father died suddenly, Adewale became like family. "I trusted him," Oma's mother said. "And I still do." Oma looked at Adewale. He lowered his head. But that night, her mother continued, people came. Men who wanted something Uncle Ode had refused to give. Adewale's jaw tightened. "They threatened me," he said quietly. "They wanted me to sign papers. To sell something that was not theirs. I said no. Those men came looking for him, but found Oma and her mother instead. They took me," Oma's mother said, her voice shaking. "They wanted to use me to force him." Oma's heart pounded. "They didn't hurt you?" she asked quickly. Her mother shook her head. "No. They scared me. They hid me. They watched me. But they did not hurt me." Oma breathed out, relief washing over her. "They told me if Adewale signed, I would go free," her mother continued. "He refused. Not because he didn't care, but because he knew giving in would hurt many people." Adewale finally spoke, his voice thick. "I searched everywhere. I used everything I had. But they were careful." Oma stared at the floor. "So why didn't you come back when you escaped?" Her mother's face fell. I didn't escape, she said softly. They let me go much later, when everything was already broken. When you were gone. Oma looked up sharply. Gone. They released me far from home, her mother said. When I returned, you were missing. Neighbors said a little girl had run away crying. No one knew where you went. Oma remembered running. The fear. The darkness. Sleeping under a shop table for the first time. I was looking for you, she whispered. Tears fell again. I searched for you for years, her mother said. But the city is big. And children disappear too easily. Silence filled the room. Adewale stood and walked to the wall. He touched the photo gently. When I finally became successful, he said, I promised myself I would never forget where I came from. Or who mattered. Oma looked at the photo again. That picture, Adewale said, was taken the day you said you wanted to be a teacher. Oma smiled weakly. I did. You said you wanted to help children who were afraid of the dark, he replied. Oma's chest tightened. So why didn't you find me, she asked, suddenly angry. You have all this money. Adewale nodded slowly. That question is fair. He turned to face her. I searched, he said. But there were mistakes. People lied. Records were missing. And I was afraid. Afraid of what? Oma asked. Afraid that I would find you and you would hate me, he said. Oma looked away. Her mother reached for her hand. We cannot change the past, my child. But we can decide what happens next. Oma pulled her hand back gently. What happens next? She asked. Adewale hesitated. Tomorrow, he said, the press will come. People already know a homeless girl entered my mansion. They will ask questions. Oma's stomach twisted. I don't want people pointing at me, she said. I don't want pity. Adewale nodded. Then we must be careful. He paused, then said something that made Oma's heart skip. But there is something else you must know. Something I just found out today. Oma looked at him sharply. What? Adewale's eyes darkened, not with fear, but with seriousness. The men who took your mother, he said, are back. Oma's breath caught. And this time, he added, they know you are alive. The room felt suddenly too quiet. Oma swallowed hard. Why are you telling me this now? She asked. Adewale looked at her, steady and honest. Because, he said, whether you like it or not, your story is not finished. And somewhere deep inside the mansion, a phone began to ring again. The phone stopped ringing, but the silence it left behind felt heavier than noise. Oma sat very still on the sofa, her hands folded on her lap. For the first time since she entered the mansion, hunger was no longer the loudest thing inside her. Fear and hope had taken its place, pulling her in different directions. Adewale spoke first. They are not here, he said calmly. Not yet. But they are watching. They think you are my weakness. Oma lifted her head. Am I? Adewale looked at her carefully, then shook his head. No, he said. You are my reminder. Her mother squeezed Oma's shoulder. We will not run again, she said softly. Running only gave fear power. Oma thought about all the times she had run. From streets. From rain. From memories. She was tired of running. What do they want now? Oma asked. Adewale walked toward the window and looked out at the city lights. Cars moved below like glowing ants. Lagos was awake, as always. They want silence, he said. And they want control. They believe money should bend truth. Oma stood up slowly. And will it? Adewale turned to her. There was something firm in his eyes now, something unbreakable. No, he said. Not this time. The next morning came gently. Sunlight filled the mansion, soft and golden. Amma woke up in a real bed for the first time in years. Clean sheets. A pillow that did not smell like dust. For a moment, she felt guilty, like comfort was something she had stolen. Then she heard her mother humming in the bathroom. The sound grounded her. She got up and looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was still thin. Her eyes still held stories. But there was something new there too. Belonging. Downstairs, Adewale was already dressed. He looked serious, but calm. On the table were breakfast plates, warm and waiting. Oma sat, unsure. You don't have to rush, Adewale said. No one is chasing you today. Oma nodded and took a bite. The food tasted better than anything she remembered, not because it was rich, but because she was no longer eating in fear. After breakfast, Adewale gathered them in the living room. There is something I must do, he said. And I want you both to hear it from me. He explained that years ago, when he refused to sign those papers, he had also reported the men quietly. The case never moved forward. Power had protected them. But power changes, he said. And truth waits. Oma listened closely. I have evidence now, Adewale continued. Records. Voices. Documents. Enough to end their hold. Oma's heart raced. Will it be dangerous? Adewale smiled slightly. Truth always scares lies. Later that day, news spread fast. Not about Oma. About corruption. About powerful men being questioned. About a billionaire who refused to stay silent. Reporters gathered outside the gates, but Adewale kept them out. Inside, Oma watched from the window, her hand wrapped around her mother's. Are they here for me? Oma asked. Her mother shook her head. No, my child. This time, they are here for justice. That evening, a visitor arrived. An older woman with kind eyes and a calm voice. She worked with a foundation that helped children without homes. I have heard your story, the woman said to Oma. And I want to help, if you allow it. Oma looked at Adewale. You choose, he said. Oma thought for a moment. I don't want to forget the streets, she said. But I don't want to live there again. The woman smiled. That is a brave answer. Days passed. The men who once caused fear were arrested quietly. Not with shouting. Not with drama. Just the slow closing of doors they thought would never shut. Amma watched the news from the living room, sitting beside Adewale. Is it over? She asked. Adewale shook his head. Some things end. Others change shape. Amma nodded. She understood that. One afternoon, Adewale took Oma back to the wall with her photo. I kept this here, he said, so I would remember who I was fighting for. Oma stared at the picture. I don't look scared, she said. You weren't, Adewale replied. You were hopeful. Oma touched the frame. Can we take a new one? She asked. Together. Adewale smiled, wide and real. Yes. The photo was taken that same day. Oma stood between her mother and Adewale. No fancy clothes. Just clean ones. No forced smiles. Just truth. Later that night, as the house grew quiet, Oma sat on the balcony with her mother. Mama, she said softly, what happens to me now? Her mother wrapped an arm around her. Now you leave. Oma leaned into her. Below them, the city moved on. Busy. Loud. Full of stories. Oma knew her life would not suddenly become perfect. She would have to learn again. To trust. To dream. But she also knew something else. She was no longer invisible. She was no longer alone. And somewhere inside her, the little girl in the photo smiled again, not from a wall this time, but from within.